David Jenkins heard the sound before he saw anything. It was soft and high, a small, shaky whinny that did not belong in his barn at 4 a.m. In 32 years of ranching, David had learned every sound his animals made. He could tell which horse was restless, which cow was calving, which fence wire was loose just by listening. This sound was wrong, new, out of place. He had only come out to the barn because sleep would not come. It had not come easily for months. The nights were long and quiet since his wife died, and walking the barn before dawn gave him something to do with the empty hours, something that felt steady and familiar. Buttons, his old bay mare, lifted her head when he passed her stall, then went back to sleep. The gelding beside her did not even stir. Everything was normal until that sound came again, faint but urgent, from the far end of the barn. David stopped walking. His hand tightened around the flashlight. The beam cut through the dim barn aisle as he moved forward, his boots echoing against the concrete floor. The last stall at the end was supposed to be empty. He used it to store tack and extra feed. No horse had been in there for years. When the light hit the corner of that stall, David froze. A foal stood there on long, unsteady legs, her body wobbling as she tried to balance. Her coat was dark charcoal, still thick with baby fuzz. The color gray foals are born before time lightens them. She could not have been more than 3 or 4 days old. She was completely alone. David swept the flashlight around the stall, his heart pounding. There was no mare, no person, just the foal, a fresh pile of clean straw, a bucket of water, and a small bag of mare's milk replacer leaning against the wall. The foal whinnied again and took a shaky step toward him. "What in the world?" David whispered. That was when he saw the paper. A folded note was tied carefully to the tiny halter around the foal's neck with a piece of baling twine. David's hands shook as he untied it. The paper felt worn, like it had been folded and unfolded many times. The note was written in blue ink. The handwriting was careful but unsteady, as if the writer had struggled to keep control of the pen. "Mr. Jenkins, her name is Destiny. She was born 4 days ago. I cannot keep her, and I cannot explain why, but I need you to know she is everything good in this world. Please do not let her end up at auction. Please give her a chance to become what she is meant to be. I know you are a good man. I have watched you with your horses. You will understand someday why I had to do this. I am sorry I cannot stay to explain. I am sorry for so much, but I am not sorry she exists. Thank you for saving her life." There was no signature. David read the note 3 times. By the third, his vision had blurred. He lowered the paper and looked at the foal, who stared back at him with wide, dark eyes. She stretched her tiny muzzle forward and touched his hand. "Well," David said, his voice rough and quiet in the empty barn. "I guess you are mine now." This was not how his life was supposed to look at 56 years old. David Jenkins had planned to build this ranch with someone. He had planned for children, for a future handed down like the land itself. Instead, he stood alone on 120 acres in southern Wyoming, tucked against the Medicine Bow Mountains, running cattle and keeping a few honest ranch horses. His wife Leslie had died 8 years earlier on a winter road slick with black ice. After that, the ranch grew quieter. David worked, ate, slept, and worked again. He told himself he liked the peace. Finding a newborn foal in his locked barn did not fit into that quiet life. His property sat 8 miles from the nearest neighbor. The gate was not locked, but no one wandered out here by accident. Someone had driven up his road in the dark, walked into his barn, and left a baby horse in his care. Someone who knew him. Someone who had watched him with his horses. The thought made his skin prickle, but the foal wobbled again, bumping her nose into his leg, and David's instincts took over. First things first, she needed to eat. Raising an orphan foal was one of the hardest things a horseman could do. They were fragile. One missed feeding, one infection, and they could be gone. They needed milk every 2 hours, day and night. David had done it before, twice. He mixed the milk replacer carefully, checking the temperature, filling the bottle. The foal sniffed it, bumped it with her nose, and sprayed milk across his shirt. "Easy, little girl," he murmured. It took patience, but she figured it out. When she did, she drank like she had been waiting for it her whole short life. Foam clung to her whiskers. Her tiny tail flicked back and forth. David checked her over while she ate. Bright eyes, pink gums, clean umbilical stump. Someone had cared for her, which only raised more questions. Over the next days, David fell into a brutal routine, feeding every 2 hours, cleaning the stall, watching her like a hawk for any sign of sickness. Sleep came in short pieces, but he did not complain. He called the sheriff and reported the foal. Paperwork was filed. Without a brand or microchip, there was not much else to do. If nobody claims her in 90 days, she's legally yours, the deputy told him. But whoever left her wanted you to have her. David already knew that. He read the note again and again. I have watched you with your horses. That meant someone local. Someone close enough to know his habits. He asked around town, at the feed store, at the vet clinics. No one knew of a gray mare foaling recently. Then, one morning, 2 weeks later, an old friend saw a picture of the foal and went very quiet. David, the man said slowly, I think I know who that foal belongs to. And just like that, the mystery deepened. David stood in the barn that night, watching Destiny sleep curled against the straw. The mountains loomed dark outside, and the wind whispered through the boards. Whatever story had brought this foal to him, he knew one thing. Nothing in his life would ever be simple again. The next morning, David could not shake the feeling that Destiny's arrival was only the beginning of something much bigger. He went through the motions of feeding and cleaning, but his mind kept circling the same questions. Who had brought her here? Why in the middle of the night? And what kind of trouble would make someone give up a foal they clearly loved? 2 weeks passed, and Destiny grew stronger by the day. Her legs steadied. Her curiosity grew. She followed David everywhere in the barn, bumping his pockets and chewing on his jacket zipper. Caring for her was exhausting, but it filled the quiet spaces in his life in a way he had not felt since Leslie died. Word finally reached an old friend named Robert, a man who ran a small horse breeding operation about 20 miles away. David ran into him in town while picking up feed. I heard you've got a gray filly foal, Robert said, lowering his voice. Someone left her at your place. Seems like everyone knows, David said. You hear something I didn't? Robert hesitated. Can I see a picture? David pulled out his phone and showed him a photo taken that morning. Destiny stood in the sunlight, her dark coat already hinting at the dapples that would come with age. Robert stared at the screen for a long moment. That's her, he said quietly. That's who.
I think I know who her mother is.
And if I'm right, David, this foal doesn't belong in some mystery story. She belongs in record books. The next morning, Robert drove out to the ranch with a folder tucked under his arm. Destiny was bucking and kicking in the small paddock when he arrived full of energy and confidence. Robert did not smile. That foal is out of Sterling Silver Dream, he said, a gray mare owned by Christina Wells. The name meant nothing to David. She's a top performance horse, Robert went on. Reigning, big money. That mare earned over $200,000. The stallion she was bred to isn't cheap either. That foal could be worth more than your pickup truck.
David looked at Destiny, stunned.
Then why would anyone abandon her? Robert's jaw tightened. Because Christina Wells was nearly killed 6 months ago. Horse accident, broken back, head injuries. She was in a coma. The barn felt colder. What happened to her horses? David asked. Sold, Robert said, or at least most of them. Her brother filed for control while she was in the hospital. David felt the pieces start to shift into place. He pulled the note from his pocket and handed it to Robert. Robert read it slowly. This could be her handwriting, or someone close to her. That night, David searched online. He found videos of Christina riding, powerful and confident, moving as one with her horse. He found an article about the accident, then court documents, a conservatorship filing. He sat back in his chair, anger tightening his chest. The next day, he called the number listed under Christina's name. He left a message, not expecting anything. 2 hours later, his phone rang. "This is Christina Wells," a soft voice said. "You said you have my foal." They talked for over an hour. Her speech was slow, but her memory was sharp. She told him about the accident, about waking up to find her life being dismantled piece by piece, about her neighbor Elaine, who had helped her mare give birth while Christina lay in a rehabilitation center. "My brother planned to sell them," Christina said, "both the mare and the foal, quickly." "So you lied," David said gently. "Yes," she said without hesitation. "We said the foal died. Elaine brought her to you. I trusted you to protect her." David closed his eyes. "I don't want her back," Christina said. "I want her safe. I want her to matter." When the call ended, David sat on his porch long after the sun went down. Destiny slept in the barn, unaware of the fight surrounding her existence. By morning, David knew one thing for certain. This was no longer just about a foal. It was about a woman fighting to keep her life, and a choice that would change all of them forever. David did not sleep that night. The wind moved across the ranch like a low whisper rattling the barn doors, and every sound felt heavier than before. Destiny slept curled in the straw, her small chest rising and falling, unaware that her future balanced on decisions being made far beyond her understanding. By morning, David made a choice he had never expected to make at this stage of his life. He called his lawyer. Her name was Beverly, and she had helped him years earlier after Leslie died. She listened carefully as David explained everything: the foal, the note, Christina Wells, the conservatorship. When he finished, there was a long pause on the line. "David," Beverly said finally, "this is risky, legally messy, but if what you're telling me is true, that woman is being stripped of her life while she's still fighting to recover." "So it can be challenged?" David asked. "Yes," she said, "but it will take money, time, and proof that she's mentally competent." David stared out the window at the barn. "Then let's do it." It took months. Doctors testified. Therapists spoke. Christina appeared before the court, her voice slow but steady, her mind clear. David provided a plan. He would house the horses, care for them, manage the daily work. Christina would remain owner and decision-maker as she continued her recovery. The judge listened. In the end, the conservatorship was dissolved. 2 weeks later, a trailer pulled into the Jenkins ranch. Elaine stepped down first, tears already running down her face. Behind her came Sterling Silver Dream, gray and elegant, stepping cautiously onto the Wyoming dirt. Destiny heard her before she saw her. The foal lifted her head and screamed. Dream answered with a deep, rolling nicker that cut straight through David's chest. They were released into the paddock together, and the reunion was instant. Mother and daughter pressed together, trembling, breathing each other in like they were afraid the moment might vanish. David turned away, wiping his eyes. Christina came to the ranch months later. She arrived in a wheelchair, thinner than in the old videos, but smiling. Dream walked straight to her. Destiny followed, curious and bold. "She's perfect," Christina whispered, running her hand over the filly's neck. "She always was," David said. Time moved forward. Destiny grew. Christina healed. The ranch changed. What had once been quiet and lonely became busy with purpose. Training sessions, plans, shared meals, shared hope. 3 years later, David stood at the rail of a show arena in Oklahoma City as the announcer called Christina's name. She rode Destiny into the ring, strong and confident, the silver mare shining under the lights. They did not win. They did not need to. Destiny had grown from a foal left in a dark barn into a horse that carried a woman back to her life and a man back to his heart. That night, David looked up at the stars and thought about the note tied to a tiny halter. About fear, about trust, about how one desperate act of hope had rewritten everything. Some stories begin with loss. This one began with a foal, and it ended with all of them finding their way home.